Hello and welcome to another sweet video. This is not a draft video, and I know I say that every time, the hello and welcome part, but this really is a special video. This is my tournament report for the RCQ that I played this weekend. It was sealed Final Fantasy, and we won a qualification for the RC, and this is how we did it. I'd like to thank everyone who supports me. Um, I like to think I wouldn't have the motivation to do this without the supporters that I have, but as you may know, I haven't been making that many videos, and this is my first video in slightly over a week, I think. So I've been working full time, and I've been practicing. I was practicing for this RCQ off stream, tired, and not recording because I didn't think I could give good commentary, but we've been doing really well. Doing really well in this format. As you can see, I got Mythic one of the last days, just drafting like once per day, and also kind of trophying once every other day or so. Um, so that was awesome. I have recreated the decks here, so we can take a look at them. Oh, and also, I did practice some sealed, and all that sealed practice I did was in the Arena Direct. I did 4 bullets, and I won a box, which was awesome. It's like the most expensive box you could ever win in Arena Direct. This is the sealed deck that I ended up building. It is blue, black, um, we're splashing a little bit of white for Squall and a little bit of red for Thunder Magic. Right before registering the deck, I went back and forth on like if I wanted Thunder Magic or if I wanted Light of Judgment or both. And I decided Thunder Magic was just more flexible. It didn't hit equipment, but I could fit it in any part of the curve for 1 red mana, which is kind of a big deal, especially with the capital cities. Even if I count on this as a red source, spending 6 mana for Light of Judgment is quite a bit. Spending 2 for Thunder Magic is not too bad. As you can see, this pool is like not that good, and there's not that much removal. You got Vein's Treachery, Sephiroth's Intervention, Stuck in Summoner Sanctum, which is definitely not ideal removal. And then there's the Thunder Magic. I think that's all we had. Oh, the Ice Magic too. That's all we have. So, not a ton of removal for sealed. Not a, as you can see, there aren't really any like big bomb rares either, which also made me kind of worried. For the record, even though this sealed deck did qualify me for the top 8, I don't think it was good. As you can see, when I get to the games, I was scraping and clawing and grinding my hardest just to get some wins over much better decks. The rares that we ended up playing were Cecil, Golbez, Squall, and Starting Town. I think that's it, actually. Interestingly enough. Yeah, those are only rares we ended up playing. As you can see, there's kind of some questionable cards, which I decided to play. I don't stick by one of them, though. As you can see, you might be wondering, Brandon, why is there a magic pot in your seal deck? And the answer is, I don't really know. I thought it might. I hadn't have any experience playing with it. Some of the pros liked it at the Pro Tour. I know that. but as a sideboard card. I ended up playing it because I wanted like another artifact for Golbez and the Rook turret and a blocker. And if it dies, it makes a treasure token, which fixes my mana. I figured sealed is really grindy, that exiling a card from a graveyard could matter in a lot of matchups. And it did in some, but not as many as I thought. I ended up, honestly, I ended up boarding out the Magic Pot like almost all the time. Um, I also have this Astrology Sphere, which I forgot about. That card was one of my best cards. And this deck's pretty good at enabling it. Mana is pretty good. We've got 6 towns, which made me happy to play the travel. Although there was one game where I, I'll tell you. Well, maybe I won't tell you about it because I don't remember exactly which game it was. But there was one game where I literally tapped out and paid 7 for this, despite having the 6 towns and the world map in my deck. Kind of crazy. The ramen I also don't think is that good, but I did end up playing it because of things like the Planisphere and Golbez and Squall. Squall having stuff to recur from your graveyard is kind of important. The other card that got boarded out a lot was Shinra Reinforcements. This is a card I like a lot um, in draft, but I just don't think like a 2/3 for 3 that gains you life is just really not what you want to be doing in sealed unless you have really good graveyard synergy like Cloud of Darknesses and stuff. The Ice Flan I also ended up boarding out a lot. Kind of played it kind of like as a 18th land as well as the Malboro. Ended up playing 17 lands plus world map and then 2 land cyclers. And I was pretty happy with that because this deck has a lot of card draw. Decent amount anyway. It's got Travel, the Overworld, a Rook turret to loot away lands, Golbez to surveil them away. We've got Revelation as card draw as well, and also Circle of Power. So that's the main deck. There were some rares that I did get that I didn't end up playing. I had a Realm Reborn, obviously unplayable. Genji Glove was like the one rare I thought about playing, but it just kind of feels like a worse version of Squall and like way clunkier. Like you 8 mana to do it. It spent 8 mana before it does anything. So maybe it's good in sealed, but I didn't really want to try it, and I didn't really feel like boarding it in, so it's probably just bad. There's also Excalibur 2. I don't like this card. I think it's bad. I think even if you are gaining life a couple of times, it's still a bad equipment. Equip 3 is just so much. It's crazy. And then the other card I also thought about main decking and splashing was Grahatia. And I probably should have. Like, I probably should have played the Light of Judgment in the Grahatia instead of the reinforcements in the Magic Pot. Because I made that swap almost every match. Like the early blockers that don't have a huge effect on the game don't really do anything this format. Grahatia is actually pretty good with stuff like World Map and Instant Ramen and other stuff. Oh, I forgot the combat. Forgot about the combat protection. Sure, that's my other draw spell. Really good with the Planisphere. I did this curve, I think, once during the tournament. You go turn 2 Planisphere, turn 3 combat tutorial, and then you're just attacking them with 4/4 on turn 3. You have a 4/4 token because you get a trigger from the tutorial. You get another trigger for drawing 2 cards. So that's 2 counters, and you get the counter from the combat tutorial as well. So you get 3 counters from this on the Planisphere hero, or whatever it's equipped to. It's really nice. The other rare I had was Bart's and Boko. My green wasn't that good, and it wasn't good at making birds, so I ended up not playing it. This card actually underperformed for me in the pre-release too. There's just not that many good cards that make chocobos, I think. Um, I did not have Chocobo Racetrack or Traveling Chocobo. Um, but I'll tell you about why those are on the list later. Let's get into a brief overview of the matches. Round one. Um, round one was very weird. It was the companion app was just not working at all for me. Um, Someone manually added me to the tournament, and when I was told what table to go to for deck registration, I didn't check see if my name was on the screen or in companion for deck registration. So I went to that table, did my deck, built my deck and everything, and then when round one came by, my name was not on the TV at all, and my companion app was not working. So I went and talked to the TO and the judge, and I'm like, my name's not there. Oh yeah, by the way, here's the proof that I got the box. Um, One box, and they're like, well, you're in the tournament. Your email's already there, so we can't add you. You're there, but you didn't get a pairing for deck construction. You didn't get a pairing for round one. I tried a lot of things. I tried a lot of things on my end. I was connected to the Wi-Fi the whole time, but I like obviously connected, reconnected a bunch of times, reinstalled companion as one of the last things I did, restarted my phone, and just nothing would work. And then they're like, one time they suggested logging out of companion and then logging back in, which I tried, but when I tried to log back in, the login button did nothing. So anyways, long story short, the TO tried his just a random email that he knew, which ended up being his brother's number email. Brother doesn't play Magic anymore, so he's like, it doesn't matter if my brother gets banned if this goes wrong. So I ended up playing the rest of the tournament as by proxy the TO's brother, which was kind of led to funny stories, especially people that recognize his brother's name. They're like, you're not James. And I'm like, I am today. But my real name is Brandon. Nice to meet you. And we start everything. So I ended up getting a bye for round one just from weird software issues. So it was very weird and stressful, but got a bye, so it can't be that bad, right? In round two, I played against a guy named Ben. He had bring up the cards as I talk about them. He had a pretty strong like Naya deck. And even his friends at the end were like, yeah, of course you won. His pool was apparently cracked. This round was actually my one loss, and it ended up being such a grindy affair. He won game one with top decking Joshua on in a top deck war, which was really brutal because he had two lands in his hand. So it's like he top decked an ancestral recall that also kills me. But like I had him low for a long time. He wasn't able to attack, and he drew the Joshua. I flipped it, and then I died. That game he bounced. He had Xanarkand, and he had used it to make a giant hero that I had to deal with, and I'm not that good at dealing with giant creatures, as you can see from my sideboard or from my removal suite. And one giant hero was a problem. Two giant heroes was a bigger problem because he chocobo kicked with kicker one of my key creatures. I guess probably Lock Cold or Squall. It might have been Rook Turret. Rook Turret was beating him down that game. That's right. Rook Turret beat him all the way down to 5 life before he chocobo kicked it. Returns to Zanarkand, made another giant hero for me to deal with. I used all my resources, and then Joshua came down and killed me. Game 2, he didn't really do much, and I kind of curved out into like a... I think I remember I curved out into like a kind of a tempo draw. Um, but maybe not. My life totals, as I'm looking at this, at one point I went from 18 to 7. But did like 8 damage him and then 4 damage, 4 damage. Killed him. I don't remember exactly what happened there. But the game 3 was really long and probably had my biggest this is Anakin, by the way. It's the land with an adventure that makes a hero. You put counters on it for each land you control. Anyways, my biggest, probably my biggest mistake during the tournament, which ended up to be making me lose this match, as at one point he had a traveling chocobo in play. I was holding up removal, hoping not to have to use it on the chocobo, because he didn't really have anything to do with it at the time. And I was kind of ahead on board. He didn't block with the chocobo. I think I had a lock coal attacking him at this point, or maybe a bit later. But he had this chocobo. And on turn, I guess it was turn 6, he had the chocobo, and then he tapped out to play Chocobo Racetrack. And he had not played a land yet, which I didn't exactly know at the time. The problem here is, if you can see it, is the Traveling Chocobo would make an additional chocobo from Chocobo Racetrack. And I didn't see that. Or maybe I did, but the problem was I passed priority on the racetrack. Racetrack entered, and he immediately slammed a land off the top of his library. He made two birds. It must have been a lot cool that I was attacking with, because yeah, I must have had a lot cool at this point, because on the very next turn he made 2 birds, and I had a removal spell for the chocobo, and I could have used it in response to stop that. Didn't really think about it. The interaction between these 2 cards, and he ended up making 2 birds. I should have just only let him make 1. And that actually, the second bird actually ended up mattering a lot. I ended up, end of turn, killing the Traveling Chocobo with, I think it was Sephiroth's Intervention. Yeah. And then I untap, attack with Block Coal. He blocks with both birds. And then I have to cast Vane's Treachery. And get like a 2-for-1 on the birds, but like, if you just had 1 bird, I wouldn't have to cast my Vane's Treachery there. I could just keep kidding with Lock Coal, because the Chocobos are pretty good at attacking a Lock Coal. Like, they'll trade on offense, but on defense, they're just 2/2s, generally, because of the landfall ability. There's not that many ways to put landfalls and land into play on your opponent's turn. So, eventually, a long time later, I ended up losing that game in extra turns, because of that extra Chocobo token. So that was my biggest punt of the day, uh, thankfully. But yeah, that was that match. That was my loss. It could have been a draw if he didn't have that extra token, I believe. Because, but he was just kind of drawing way better than me at the end. I was trying to stay alive. So that was round 2. Round 3 was pretty interesting. I won both games against this player, but I had at one point in game 1, we had a really long game 1, and it was really weird because basically we both had squalls. I played my squall, got a pretty good attack out of it when I played it, and then he realm sketching to copy the squall. And he made a token that was copying my squall. And he put a sleep magic on my squall. So basically, we both had squalls. Mine was tapped, and his was not. But the Rough Divide ability was still active. So for the entire rest of the game, we both had the ability, when we're attacking alone, our creature gains double strike until end turn, which is huge. And I think that's actually how game 2 went as well. So there's a lot of like him chump blocking and me chump blocking, us attacking with just one creature at a time. Pretty funny stuff. The second game went pretty similar. I brought in the Grahatia and the Light of Judgment for a little bit of extra removal and a little bit of extra grinding ability. Grahatia actually ended up being really awesome in this matchup. And I actually, oh yeah, and according to my notes, in game 1, I also, at one point, I triggered Golbez, which to return a creature from my graveyard to my hand, which ended up being really good. I don't have that many artifacts, as you can see, but I did play some sketchy ones like Magic Pot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total artifacts in the entire deck. Yeah. So it's nice to get that synergy online, and it actually ended up being kind of a big deal. But we ended up playing game 2 was also very long, and both had squalls also. Like both had squalls and no hard removal for it. So ended up like chump blocking a lot with Grahatia, and I actually ended up like drawing too much of my deck. I was like looting with like Rook Turret, self-milling with Revelation, and the Grahatia triggers are not maze. You have to draw a card. Oh, Lock Coal. Yeah, Lock Coal. Also an anime to draw a card and discard a card. So basically I was looting, drawing cards a lot, and my opponent was surviving. They had like a Ride the Shoot buff that was attacking me for like 14 damage a turn with their Squall. I was jump blocking and drawing cards off the Jarlatia. And eventually I ended up winning this game with, oh, I also brought in a Gala Cat. I ended up splashing this because opponent didn't really have a good way to block flyers, so I wanted something else that could beat them down. I don't have that many artifacts, so it was mostly just a flyer. And for a long time, I was attacking with Gallicat for 2, so 1 double strike with Squall, and just poking in and poking in and poking in, and then jump blocking and drawing a card, jump blocking with something and drawing a card with Rahatia, and then just drawing more air. And I eventually won this game with no cards in my library. My opponent had deployed a creature that could block the Gallicat, and yeah, so I had 1 card in my. It came down to a turn, this turn cycle, where my opponent saw that I had 1 card left in my library. They attack. They think I have to. They attack the lethal, grab the shoot buff, and they think I have to block, and I'm going to lose. But I just block with the Grahatia, which I probably should have blocked with earlier to not get into that spot, but you know, every card matters, so. Jump block with Grahatia. My opponent's like, haha, I got you, but I'm like, no. This card only triggers when other creatures or artifacts you control die. They're like, oh no. And that's when I untap and I attack them with two lethal flyers when they're at 2 life and win the game. This was a game where my opponent also cast a Yuna at one point and gained a bunch of life with her. I believe they had a Titan in play. And then they cast Yuna, attacked me for 7, went to 27. Then they went to 31 off another enchantment creature. I believe it was GF Ifrit or something. But anyways, that's how that game ended up. And my friends were watching me play. They were like looking at my library, looking at me. They're like, "How are you gonna?" They didn't know what my outs were, but like, how am I gonna win this? And one of my friends was like, I don't know how Brandon's gonna win this game. And then I have like no cards in the library. I'm jump blocking every turn. They have a blocker for my Gallicat at this point, and then I draw the second flyer, which I think was Rogue Turret, probably. Yeah, True Evil Awaken. Anyways, that's how that game ended. So now we are 2-1 in the tournament, and then our next match. Oh, by the way, I think I said my first round, my second round. My round 2 opponent's name was Ben. So shoutouts to Ben if you are hearing this. My round 3 opponent was named Dakota, and my round 4 opponent, his name's Matthew. And Matthew had probably the best steel deck I played against all weekend. I only played 2 games against him, but I believe in both games I saw his Achroma's Will off of Malboro Exiles. If you're not familiar with Achroma's Will, it is a really screwed up anyways, it did end up mattering in our games because I luckily exiled it both times to Malboro. And like the second time it wasn't even gonna be that good. But basically, it gives you choice to give your creatures, I believe, lifelink, burst strike, no, lifelink, double strike and protection from creatures or indestructible or something. Just huge bomb that wins you the game if you have like any reasonable board state. And they also had Sephiroth. And they had Sephiroth every game, and I didn't have good answers to it in those games. I don't really know why. I guess I just didn't draw my limited amounts of removal. One game I remember I won. I outplayed him. I was low on life. He attacked me with Sephiroth and like I think 3 other creatures. He thinks I'm gonna. I think I'm at 2. No, I'm at like 3 or something. Basically, I ended up blocking Sephiroth with Squall because Sephiroth is a 3/3. Bring up Sephiroth. For those who are not familiar, one of the biggest bombs in the format. Also, big bad guy from Final Fantasy VII and from Kingdom Hearts. Basically, he attacks me with it. It's a big blood artist. I block with a wizard token that I got from Circle of Power. So I chump block on one of his creatures, his 1/1 Death Touch. With that, I block Sephiroth with Squall, so 3/3 on 3/4. I'm holding up removal that I just drew to try and like break this up. And then he's also attacking me. Oh yeah, right. He's also attacking me with flipped. Huh? Attack me with flipped. Oh. The flipped X Death. Just this big lethal trampler, and I believe I kill it with something. I think it's a thunder magic. So I kill that, lose 1 from Sephiroth. Squall blocks the Sephiroth. I get 1 Sephiroth trigger, lose a life from that, and then let's see. I'll actually figure this out. Right here. Yeah, so I kill the Neo X Death, block the Sephiroth, block the chump block the 1/1 with my 0/1 wizard token. And then I end up losing 2 from Sephiroth. Sephiroth doesn't see himself trigger. So I go down to 1 that turn, and my opponent's left with just a Grand Pulse Ochu. It's just... Anyways. This guy. So they're left with just this guy, which I jump blocked my wizard last turn. And then I attack back with Squall and get back, I think, Shinra reinforcements, because then I go up to 4, I think. Maybe lock pull. And then I'm going to end up winning that game from there. But I never would have been able to win that game if I didn't chump block the 1/1 and kill the Trampler, and they have nothing for my block of Sephiroth on Squall. So opponent ends up maybe getting kind of tilted about that. They thought I was for sure dead on board, but they didn't they thought their 1/1 was gonna die, but since I blocked it with a 0/1, I didn't die, and then I ended up winning that game, which was awesome. And then let's see. Damn, there's so many life total changes on this paper. I don't remember that much about game 2, except for that I exiled the... They had Sephiroth again, and I didn't have a good answer to it for a while. Luckily, they never flipped their Sephiroth. I never let them. Let's see. I think they... And then... I remember this about game 2. The opponent... I think the turn... They're like killing my creatures turn after turn. They have the side quests on the mark. They have this out, and they're getting treasures every turn. And then they're so happy when they flip it at one point, and then I just cast the Stuck in Summoner Sanctum that I've been waiting for, and then swing back for the win. Just Chocobo Comet that was splashed and in their Golgari deck, and at one point there was a Diamond Weapon as well. Oh yeah, that's right. This opponent had tons of removal. And they had Esper Origins. They had 2 Sephiroth Interventions. And Vane's Treachery that I saw as well. Their deck was so good. And then, so I win that one. And then round 5, I play against a, like, Grixis mid-range deck. Play an epic game 1 against them, where at the end of that game, I'm at 5 against his Crom, his Ultimecia, and his Summon Anima. And he's also at 5 this turn cycle, so I attack in with my Rook Turret, put him down to 2. Put him down to 2. He's got the Anima, and I believe the Anima has Stuck in the Summer Sanctum on it. Or at least I put it on this turn. So I attack him with Rook Turret down to 2. My plan is to... And then... Oh yeah. Attack him with Rook Turret down to 2. Golbez triggers at the end of turn, returning Malboro to my hand. However, my opponent has Anima, which I'm hoping will just kill him. Because Anima's on chapter 1 here. No, the Anima is not frozen in this game. That's right. Okay, anyways. They have Anima on chapter 1, which they probably... Honestly, the opponent probably wins this, and I think they complained about this at the end of the game. That's a punt, but they probably shouldn't have played the Anima. Because chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 each make you lose 1 life. So they got Anima on chapter 1. I attacked them down to 2. They can potentially kill me. But if I untap, I kill them with either the Rook Turret or the Malboro in my hand. I'm at 5. So they end up making an attack. They don't attack with Ultimecia. They do not attack with Ultimecia. They have the mana to flip her and the cards in their graveyard to flip her. I end up making a chump block. I go to 1 off the Crom. I end up making a chump block on their put 2 creatures in front of the Ultima in front of the anima that do not kill it, because it has menace. So I have to block it. They don't attack with Ultimisia, and then they pay the 8 to flip, and exile 8 cards to Ultimisia to flip her. They crack their map on upkeep, and they look through their deck and they see that they have no way to remove their own anima, and then they die because they're at 1. Because they end up dying to their own anima on their extra turn. But that was a really kind of crazy spot that we got into. And then so that was a epic game 1. We sideboard and we go to game 2, and we're scrapping it out, and then time gets called. Yeah, but we have a few extra minutes because I went to the bathroom, got a time extension, beginning of the round. Anyway, we end up running out of time. So we're both very grindy decks, and my deck is not very good at winning the game. Win conditions are not great. My removal is not great. My card draw is pretty good. And we end up going to time. In extra turns, they end up just barely defeating me, which means we're 1-1, and then we have a draw. So this was my draw. So now, at this point, I'm 3-1-1, and we're going into the final match. So I asked my opponent, what should we do? He says, we're both live with a draw. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's a draw. We both have win-and-ins next round. He ends up losing his win-and-in to the top 8. And as you can probably tell from the pin and everything, and the purpose of this story, that's what we do. We end up winning our win-and-in. And our win-and-in is against this guy named Michael. He's a really nice guy. He's got a pretty good deck. I don't know about the Masamune that he was playing, but it does end up being kind of annoying in game 2. Game 1 doesn't really end up doing anything. He mulligans, poor guy mulligans to 5, and then we just kind of like tempo him out. He has this Masamune that's not doing anything. In game 2, the Masamune does eventually start doing stuff, but it doesn't matter. Oh, in game 2, he ends up winning. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he airship crashes my rook turret, and then he ends up grinding me out with final days. So I board back in the magic pot, and then we go to game 3, and in game 3 he's got Tonberry, he's got Sir Conrad, he's got the Masamune, but I am just like clocking him in the air, and at this point I've killed basically everything. He's put the Masamune out, but I ran out of removal. So now he's got Tonberry with the Masamune. Throw the magic pot under it. I got him at 10. I bring back... I have Squall. I bring back the Rook turret with Evil Way Awakened. And then this is the turn I have to jump block. Jump block the Tonberry with Masamune. Or maybe it was Sir Conrad at the point with Magic Pot. Take 2, because the Masamune actually does double... it does double death triggers from that creature, and Sir Conrad has death trigger. And we joke about how it's like actually relevant when it's not on Sephiroth, which is kind of funny. So yeah, if you're not familiar with this card, it's kind of clunky. But maybe it's good and sealed. I don't know. it was good in spots, but it's not good in a game that's about tempo. As long as good creature is attacking, if you're the biggest creature on the battlefield or you have Death Toucher, pretty good. So as long as quick creature attacking has first strike, it must be blocked if able. Quick creature has if a creature dying causes a trigger ability of a creature or an art emblem you control to trigger that ability triggers additional time. So I block, I take 2, go to 14, and then oh yeah, I didn't have Squall. I did not have Squall. I had a 5/5 Rook Turret that I brought into play with Evil Reawakened, and then I think I top deck like a Resentful Revelation, some card draw spell, into Squall, and then I'm like, I attack for the he's like, what? And I'm like, you're at 10. I attack you with a 5/5 double strike flyer. He's like, oh, okay, good game. And then he's like, well, so this was a pair up for me. So Michael was 4-1 going into this round. And he loses to me. And he's like, well, there's still a chance I can make the top 8. And funny enough, he does. Give him, when the top 8 is announced, I give him a fist bump. And we ended up paired across, even though he's at the 8th seed and I'm the 5th seed, going in the top 8, doesn't matter because the draft log gets shuffled. And I end up playing him again for round 1 of the draft. So, in the top 8 of the draft, or in the top 8 draft, there are double face cards, and there was, and the way that, I don't know this is how it's always run, but the way the judge ran it, we open our packs, we show our double face cards, announce them to the table. If you take it, you don't have to announce it, but you do have to leave it face up on top of your single pile of cards that you've taken until your next pick. And someone down the table to me opens a Jill and a Traveling Chocobo. I believe it was Michael, actually. Or, not Traveling Chocobo, but side quest Raise a Chocobo. And I believe he takes the side quest. And passes to Jill. Some people might not know how good Jill is, but I think she's very good. I open up, so I'm like looking around in between my picks to see who's taken the Jill, and I don't see anyone taking the Jill. And like, we get to like 5th or 6th pick, and I still don't have to see the Jill, but more on that later. I'll leave Jill up for now while I'm talking about this. Okay, so just top 8 draft. I open up my pack and I see, I believe there might be a Magitech entry in the pack. No, I don't think there is. I see Summon Knights of the Round, and I take it because this card is expensive, but it's kind of cracked. And so I take that, and I looked to see if Jill was taken. It was not, but the side quest was, which is, I think it's strange. I think it's strange to take side quest Raise a Chocobo over Jill. First pack 1, pick 1, but you know, whatever. And then pick 2 comes, and I don't see Jill. I get, what do I take second pick? I might have taken a Magitech Infantry second pick. Maybe. No, I think I take Magitech Armor second pick. Yeah. I think Magitech Armor second pick, I think. And then I get past 3rd pick, a Dragoon's Lance. I'm like, wow, okay. This is a pretty good signal that white is open. And I still don't see the Jill is taken. Or like, I don't see Jill on the top of anyone's pack. And I'm like, okay, it's 3rd pick. Got some white cards, got some artifacts. maybe I can make a sick blue-white deck. And like, I am seeing some pretty good blue cards, but the person to the right of me has taken, they first picked the Emperor of Palamecia. And I want to see if they take the Jill. But I don't see anyone take the Jill. They first picked this. And then they passed me the Dragoon's Lands, and I'm like, alright, well, we'll probably just cut off white. And it's kind of what we do. I think I get a Crystal's Chosen also in pack 1. And I'm hoping to get some Orosites. And I don't think I take any white cards in pack 1. Except maybe Super Late Freya Crescent. And maybe an item shopkeep that also wheels. But like, I'm super deep in white in pack 1. And I still don't see the Jill. And it's like 5th, 6th. It's like 5th or 6th pick. And then I'm like, okay, I guess someone picked the Jill, and then I didn't notice because they took their next pick right away and then covered it up. I don't know, but Jill didn't come, so maybe we're not white. Maybe we're definitely not like slamming it and going blue. We'll just see what's open. So pick up like some medium red cards on the wheel, and we also end up picking up 2 Magitech Infantries in pack 1. Arena only let me put 4 in, but I end up with 5, which is amazing. Or at least it would be if I drew them more often. Or white sources. But anyways, I digress. So the draft goes on, and white is like basically wide open. I'm wheeling like pretty much every white card I could ever want, including infantries and delivery removals. Or like I wheel the first infantry. I end up getting like pick 10. No. I think I get like pick 8. My second infantry in pack 1. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's on. White is on. Yeah. And I end up with just tons of good white cards. Looking for a color to pair it with. And then I think it was in... Like, it's most likely going to be red, but I don't have really good red cards. Freya's like pretty good, but we don't have that many equipment. And then we end up... I wonder if I could have just... No, I don't think I could have white, mono white, but at some point, maybe in pack 2, we get a Gilgamesh. I take that and look, okay, we're red white. And then the Mughals start coming, they don't stop coming. There's like 4 delivery Mughals in this draft. I ended up passing 1 of them. But like, this card's really, really good. Especially when you have something great to get like Dragoon's Lance or Magitech. But I ended up having a 4-drop problem with this deck. I mean, you get to deck construction, and I'm like, I don't know which 4-drops to play. I have all these delivery Mughals. I want to play those. I want to play the Orosai. I want to play at least one Warrior's Sword. And that's what I ended up settling on. But, like, as you can see from the sideboard, I had the Magitech Armor, which is an awesome 4-drop. I have 2 Weapons Vendors, which are good 4-drops. But I ended up not playing them because of the other 4-drop problem. And also, I don't actually have that much equipment, which is why Gilgamesh actually ends up in my sideboard. I also end up sideboarding Ishgard. I don't really have like self-mill, so my artifacts are not really going to the graveyard unless they're killing them, or their infantries, and they have artifact removal for my equipment, so I ended up sideboarding that as well. I believe I also got a Barret Wallace. Just all the 4-drops I could ever want. A smorgasbord of 4-drops. And yeah, this is the deck that we end up playing. Because I have early red and white, I just want to make sure I get my colors. So I play 2 dual lands, Cap City. I play 9 plains and 5 mountains. Play the same amount of mountains as I do Magitech infantries, actually. And funny enough, as the top 8 goes by, I draw a lot more mountains than I draw Magitech infantries, which is crazy. And really annoying, actually. This deck felt kind of cursed, but it was just barely good enough. I think it's questionable that I played Summon Knights of the Round in my 6 1-drop deck, but infantries can be pretty good at grinding. Felt like this deck could grind to late game, and I wanted to have a hammer or a couple of them, and there wasn't that much else I could play. So this is what I've been playing in the top 8, and everyone was scared of me. So apparently word got out that I had 5 Magitech infantries, and like, this guy's deck is insane. So I ended up playing. So as luck would have it, or fate, or whatever you want to call it, I ended up playing against Michael in the top 8 in my quarterfinals, because he sit across from me at the table. So he has a chance to get his revenge, and he nearly does, actually. So we did make a mistake in this match. Michael should have never been on the play for game 1, but he was. It's the top 8, and I don't think we were reminded that your seed going to the top 8, whoever has higher seed goes first. So I could have avoided all of my problems with game 1, but game 1 ends up being a big fat nothing burger. I have like I think I have like a couple of red 2-drops. I keep a hand with like 3 mountains, or 2 mountains and a hill gigas. And since I'm on the draw and I have 11 white sources and a capital city, I figure I'll draw 1. But I never do, but I never should have been on draw, and I never should have kept that hand, because keeping that hand on the play is not defensible. And I ended up basically doing nothing, getting ran over, and conceding game 1. Game 2, I get a slow start, because my deck never provides me with a mulligan. Put a land, I think I put my 4th land on the bottom, and never draw a 4th land again. So it's pretty late in the game. My opponent already has I'm like struggling to keep up, and my opponent has in play, I think they start on turn 2 side quest Ragged Chocobo, and then turn 4 they play the Earth Crystal, and then turn 5 they play Chocobo Racetrack, and then play land, because Earth Crystal discounts Racetrack by 1, so they tap 4, play this, play a land, they get another Chocobo. And then I finally draw. There's a turn where they activate the Earth Crystal targeting both their Chocobos. I kill one with a Slash of Light in response, with just my 2 Magitech infantries that are attacking. Just desperately trying to get my opponent's life total low. I think. Anyway, what ends up happening is I have a 4/4 Chocobo after this. They're making more Chocobos, and I draw my 2nd white for White Aurosite, or it's probably my 4th mana for White Aurosite, I think it is. Yeah, I finally do, and I have a decision. Do I hit the 4/4 Chocobo? Do I hit the Racetrack? Or do I hit the Earth Crystal? Like, what's the biggest problem for me? And eventually I decide then I just want to get rid of the most immediate threat, which is the 4/4 Chocobo, and try and start racing / jumping Chocobos. And that's what I ended up doing. I exiled their Chocobo, attacked them with my infantries, untap, play Delivery Moogle, play a infantry that I chump blocked with, and keep attacking with 2 infantries and just staying alive. And then eventually I get my opponent down to 6. I play another Delivery Moogle. They make an attack that is lethal, so I have to jump block. They have 1 card in their hand, so I decide I hem and haw a little bit, decide not to play around a trick, not block with my Delivery Moogle, because my plan is to have 4 creatures and the Moogle, or 3 creatures and the Moogle next turn to swing for lethal. And I do. So I end up stealing that game. And then poor Michael mulls to 5 again. Like he mulled to 5 in our first match. And that's basically how game 3 goes. Game 3 is not really close because of so after a super close game 2 and a nothing burger game 1, we have a nothing burger. We have kind of a not really close oh right, okay. As I see the life totals going up and down, I know what happened. In game 3, I'm opponent mulls to 5. I'm Albert Steiner and 2 equipment in play, or like 1 equipment and then another equipment. After I deliver a Moogle, get a Dragon's Lance, and then Steiner ends up outracing his Chocobo and his Tifa, and I win game 3. There's not really much to say about the semifinals though, because well, I can talk about how like weird it was. Basically, anyways, Michael was actually I talked to him at the end of the game because he had Esper Origins, he had Fenrir, he had Precious Wanderings. Precious Wanderings here. And he ended up never getting any other land except with any of these cards. He also had Sad's Cats, right? He ended up never getting another land with any of those cards except for basic forests. And then at the end of the game, I asked him, "Are you mono green?" And he's like, "Yeah, mono green." I'm like, "Oh, that's really interesting. Good games." I think he could have splashed easily. I don't think there's really any reason he needed to be mono green, but whatever. In the semis, I'm supposed to play against this guy. I think his name was Alberto or Arturo. But he ends up scooping to me because of the prize structure of this event. It's very weird. Basically, if you get 3rd or 4th, you get $200 store credit. You get 5th through 8th, you get $100 store credit. And if you got 1st or 2nd, since there were 2 RC regional championship invites, that's all you get is you get the invite. You don't get any store credit. And this guy had already had 1 qualification for the season, and he could have chosen the other RC, I guess, to go to, because there's 2 you could choose from. You could choose Las Vegas or Houston coming up in fall, but he decided to take the credit instead, and he just scooped to me, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So that's how I ended up getting the qualification, because this guy scooped to me. But I probably could have beat him anyway, because my deck's really good. In the finals, we talked about it, and eventually we decided, since 1st and 2nd place were the same prizes, but the store only got 1 lanyard to just play for fun and for the lanyard, and we did. So we both got pins, but there was a lanyard to play for, and I played against him, and my deck ended up kind of being cursed and not giving me what I wanted. And his deck was very, very good. He had Nibelheim of Flame, which was like the worst card for me imaginable. He, besides maybe Fire Magic, he had Summon Leviathan, which I knew he had because I passed it to him in pack 3 or in pack 2. And he was the guy that was setting my right that first picked the Emperor of Palamecia, and he ended up just being able to go straight, get a very good blue-red deck from there. He got past Buster Sword, apparently, which is kind of crazy. And the person who passed it to him couldn't really defend it, so I don't know why they didn't take it. Even if you're rare drafting, that card is worth $36, or at least it was when I drafted. Did a rare draft when we were drafting rares at the end of a draft a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. Anyways, so I'm playing this guy Ryan in the finals. Got the sick blue-red deck. My deck's not really functioning in game 1. And I get Nibelheim Flamed. He does it on his 2-1 Pixie, and his 4-3 hero from Warrior Sword survives, and he wipes my entire board. That's how I lose game 1. Game 2, I end up beating him up in the air with like a pretty good curve with like Freya and Dragon's Lance and Moogle. And then game 3, my deck just like completely stops doing anything. I think I ended up having mana problems. I don't remember if I ended up on mono red mana or mono white mana and needing the other color, and also needing a 4th land, and it just never coming. And then when it finally came, it was the tap land. So at this point, I think maybe we weren't playing for much. We're just playing for the glory and the lanyard, I guess. But we were both qualified, which was awesome. And I ended up losing that third game. Ended up losing it pretty badly to a giant creature equipped with Buster Sword when I have nothing left. Like, I attack him, we're racing, he plays Buster Sword, equips, attacks, takes a huge chunk out of me, and then he Light of Judgments my, like, off the Buster Sword trigger, he Light of Judgments my creature with the Dragon's Lance, I believe, and I lose that game. And then we can't leave yet because the TO wants to take a top 2 photo with us, and we do that. We're showing our pins, and I'm showing my 5 Magic and Freeze one hand and my 3 Delivery Moogles in the other hand, because that's what the other players couldn't believe I had. That's the end. That's how the tournament went. So I'm super happy to be qualified for an RC. I've never been to an RC before. I barely did into any RC queues. Did top 8 the last one I did. And that was Modern Horizons 3 last summer. But I didn't get qualification then. It's hard to find limited RC queues. I'm really glad that this shop actually runs them. It's a great shop. Shout out to Forgotten Path Games in Vacaville. Shop's awesome, and the owner's awesome. He was very helpful because he was a TO all the way. And so at some point I need to prepare myself to go to, I believe, I'll have to go to Vegas instead of Houston, because Houston is during CubeCon, and I don't want to miss that. I'm trying top 8 CubeCon again. Maybe I can win this time. Maybe. But anything can happen in Vintage Cube. Like it did. Gonna have to learn some modern, so DM me. Let me know in the comments if you want to test Modern with me for this tournament. It's not going to be until November, so we got some time to learn, figure out where the metagame settles, and try that out. I like to joke that I'm allergic to 60 card decks, unless it's limited and I have Yorion, but that's not true. I just only play constructed when I have to, when I'm qualified for something, or if I have really good idea for a brew, like I did with Kethis combo when I made that deck up in Standard. That's right, for anyone who didn't know, I invented that deck. I invented the best deck in Standard. And that deck was awesome because it was like combo. It was the first combo deck in Standard in a very long time, but the deck only existed in Standard for 3 months because when Kethis came out in I think it was M20, Mox Amber rotated the very next set when Throne of Absorb Drain came out. Mox Amber was critical for that deck to function. I did try to make it work out without the amber, but it just wasn't explosive enough. And that's the end of that. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. I didn't talk about doing a secret hashtag, but let's do one anyway. The secret hashtag for this video is RCya. Hopefully I'll see some of you at the RC. Use that secret hashtag along with your comments. Give feedback, and if you're subscribed, you'll be treated with a booster box. You can do this if you're not already aware. You can do this once per video with the secret hashtag, which pretty much all of them do for the last several months. We're gonna close the giveaway at 150 subscribers and choose a box to give away. Probably won't be the Final Fantasy box, collector's box, but I could be convinced. Mainly we play booster box when we do that Arena Direct, but I have some other cool older boxes that we could give away. So we'll do a poll, figure that out, give away live on stream to a viewer, a supporter, and hope to see you all for that. And the feedback could be positive, could be negative. Hopefully it's constructive, but it's not necessary. Nobody's perfect, including myself. I know that, and I'd like to continue. I like to strive to always improve. So you see something that I can improve with my play, with production value, with, I don't know, sound quality or whatever, let me know, and I'll respond to all my comments. And if you use secret hashtag and you do all the stuff, again, that is give feedback, be subscribed, leave a comment with that secret hashtag, and boom, you're entered to win. Thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate all your support so much. Love you all, and I'll see you next time.